Welcome back to Prof E Plays, and welcome back to Lemuria. We're back in Dreadfarer. Uh, at this point, so just reminder, remember this is a solo journaling sketching game. So this is, we might want to call the series where you tune in to watch Professor Engelhardt be bad at art. All right, so the way that the game goes, we're taking expeditions into the continent of Lemuria, which has been discovered, and we are having to manage our money, our health, our level of corruption, and we are trying to make a number of expeditions that will fill my little sketchbook here that I got for $1.25 at the Dollar Tree. Right, so far, right, we went once to the island of Sarah, which is kind of a desert island. We went once, right, to Motag, which is where there are mountains. Right, and you can see where we visited the wall of Lagain, which is a town. And now we are making another expedition. So let's find out where we are going next. Right, so I'm going to go ahead and open up if I can find. There it is. There it is. Okay. So we keep note of money, gear, HP. We have to choose an area to explore, and then we roll to find out specific location and the remnant that we are seeking. So, because I like going for variety here, right? So far, right, we went to the island of Sarah once, we went to the heights of Motag once. So for the third expedition, let's look at the third area. That is the jungle of Sangal. This means sacred forest in its local language. The island of Sangal hides many strange forms of life once lost to the world. Deep within the howling trees and croaking swamps are ruins full of civilizations past. What secrets could they hold? So that's it. There's some additional description in the book. I'm not going to bother reading every single line for your sake. But let's roll and see where we're going to go. So we roll a d20, and it gives us the specific location. Right, so number 6. Right, so first, I just want to make a note here that we're going to Sangle, and location number 6. It is the port of Akkag. Here's a note about the port of Akkag. It was built by Motagi's settlers in recent years. Its founders, wanting to escape British rule, traveled to the calm bay of Dakar to make a new living by exploiting the rainforest. The town has quickly become a refuge for people from all around Lemuria and abroad looking for a fresh start. The entrance to the village is heavily guarded, as they have been subject to numerous raids by Desangal tribes. Right, so this is a village. The port of Akkag is a village, and that's going to determine what type of encounter we're going to have when we get there. But this is some place where, while it is a jungle here, nonetheless, it appears that we are going to be on the coast and also somewhere that's it's a bit more settled, right, as opposed to the wilderness of the jungle. So let's also find out what kind of remnant we have. Now, this is one thing about this book where, like, if I were the designer, one thing that I would change. Oh, I forgot number 6 there. One thing that I would change is that the order in which things are in the book is they have all the locations together, then all of the remnants together, then all of the encounters together. What I would actually take, so at the high level, that's what it is, and then within each of those categories, then they break up by the specific areas that you're exploring. I would actually flip that myself. So I'd say, like, here in this set of, say, 20 pages, these are all the things you need when you're going to Desangle. So here are the locations, here are the remnants, here are the encounters, all within that area. That way you can stay within that part of the book, right, for an expedition without having to flip 20 pages and then flip 20 pages and that kind of thing. So, and it's a very small thing in terms of organization. Who knows, right? By the time they get this released in a print version, they might possibly decide to make that change. So let's take a look then. So we have to get all ready for travel then. Oh, wait. We don't. No, we don't, Professor. You need to find out the remnant. You got distracted by a very minor critique. Okay, so here we go. So rolling a d20 to find out what remnant we are seeking here. It's number 11. In the jungle of Desangle, remnant number 11. Okay, I have to explain why I just laughed. So the remnant is the screaming skull. What made me laugh was that when I was in college, there was a group of my friends that would get together and we would watch movies. And it's not an unusual thing, right? Uh, but we were watching a lot of the Mystery Science Theater 3000, right? MST3K. And one of the older episodes was, for those who aren't familiar, MST3K, they watch like cheesy old sci-fi horror kind of movies typically, right? And there was one that, and then they make fun of it, right? So that's the reason you watch is the commentary over top of the movie. And one of them was The Screaming Skull was the name of the movie. So as soon as I see the title, it made me think about I had this one friend, right, who after we watched this movie, like very frequently, would just say "Screaming Skull!" Ah! Right, so that was it. Anyway, so about the Screaming Skull, what we know about it is this eerie whistle is carved into the skull of a small monkey. Okay, so it's not like a human skull that screams, through which several holes have been pierced. In the back of the head, a sort of mouthpiece made of bone has been inserted. If one blows through it, the sound will reverberate through the skull, amplifying itself until it comes to sound exactly like a haunting human scream. Right, but it's a monkey skull. Okay, so this was used by the ancient people of Sangul during their conflict as a cry for help, as a perfect lure for an ambush. Oh, well, okay. As a cry for help is a perfect lure for an ambush. Yeah, that's my fault. I didn't read that correctly. So, okay, oh, that makes sense. So it sounds like, oh, you think somebody's screaming for help, right? So you got to help them, and then that makes sense. It's very much like, yeah, I don't know, if you happen to be playing Traveler or something, you get a distress call. It very well might be pirates. It's the same thing. All right, so the next thing we need to do is we need to gear up and travel. Right? So because you're traveling between areas, it's going to be a little bit more expensive than if I were to just stay in one area, but I don't want to stay in one area because I've not been everywhere yet. Right? So my options here. I could pay a ship fare, which is $40. Now remember, I have at this point, I have $190 left. Right, so, and I'm actually pretty well equipped right now. I have a hunting knife, a couple oil lamps, a Winchester, a climbing rope, a box of ammo for my Winchester, and a map of Motag. So is there any other equipment that I want before I leave? Oh, that's a good question. I think, now remember, the village we're going to is heavily guarded. So one thing that I think might be helpful, I don't know that I need a local guide. I don't think, but it might be helpful to know the language, so that we can, obviously, so we can communicate. That's the purpose of knowing a language, right? So 150 is what I'll have left because it's $40 for studies on the Lemurian language. All right, so I acquired that, um, and I think that I feel pretty good about this. I think that I have a good set of stuff. Um, do I also want, a machete might actually be helpful too. So I'm gonna go ahead and buy a machete as well. So I'm down to $70. Just thinking since I'm going to the jungle, a machete might actually be helpful, potentially. Even if I'm going to be in a village, they're still nearby. All right, so now I've got to figure out how I want to travel there. So again, my options, right? I can go by ship, I could go by plane, I could go by blimp, I could go by submersible, right? Although I can't go by submersible because there's a specific remnant that you have to have. So I can't do that one. Or I could sneak onto a cargo ship and just bribe one of the crewmen to let me go. So now each of these carries their own, I guess, dangers and the trade-offs involved. One important thing to remember: I only have $70, which immediately that means the blimp ride is out. The blimp is $140, and I don't actually need a blimp ride at this point because with the blimp ride, you get a bunch of equipment, but I already have all the equipment they would have given me. Now, I could pay 60 out of my $70 to take a plane, but then I'll have very little money left when I get there. So I really better hope that things go well in terms of getting the remnant, and you know, selling it is gonna not be great for my corruption. Uh, but or $40 to take a ship, $5 try to sneak onto the ship. I'm gonna actually travel legitimately. I've traveled illegitimately before, so I'm gonna pay over half my dollars. Oh goodness, I didn't budget very well, did I? Okay, so $40 to ride the ship. So here's what happens. Ships regularly travel between each of the islands of Lemuria. The seas are full of peril. For each ship ride, roll a d4. If it lands on a 1, you roll from the table of ocean encounters. Okay, so it's a little bit different than if you sneak onto the ship. If you sneak onto the ship, you definitely have an ocean encounter. Here, it's just a 1 in 4 chance. So let's go ahead and roll my d4. Land on a 1. Of course it did. So then we need to find our ocean encounter, and then we will see what happens. All right, so flipping through the book. Eventually, I will come to. Wait a minute. Okay, I think I flipped too far or something. All right. So I need ocean travel. Here we go. So 180, which in the book is going to be 185. There we go. Yep, ocean encounters. So it's just it's a D4 roll. So that's okay. It's only one page. That's how I missed it. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and roll my D4, and we'll see what happens. Two. Two says, your vessel suddenly shakes, a great black shape moving past you through the deep waters. You see many eyes sprawling along the thing as it slams into the sides. Roll a d4. That's what happens. Two. You brace yourself against a nearby wooden crate as the thing smashes into your vessel. Suddenly, a great horn seems to echo across the waters, and the thing swims rapidly away. Whatever that sound was, it saved your skin. All right. Well, that could have turned out a lot worse. Definitely could have turned out a lot worse. All right, so let's go ahead and so we're going to get to where we intended to go without any problems. All right. So as we get to the jungle island of Sangle, we're going to have an encounter here as well. So we're going to roll up on the village table. Again, it's a D4. So let's see what happens here. 2. So as you make your way through the town, you notice a large tree, the trunk impossibly thick. High above a large wooden building is suspended in its branches, and laughter echoes down. A rope ladder hangs from above, and many colored lights are strung around it. So I get to choose. I can either climb the ladder or just leave it. I think I want to climb the ladder, and that feels pretty clear to me. So I'm going to climb the ladder. That's what happens. But as you slowly start to ascend the ladder into the tree, the laughter growing from above and sweet smells wafting down. Oh, maybe they have pie. Okay. Now you're not sure what happens after that, but you do know you got incredibly drunk, ate lots of great food. Oh, they had pie, and enjoyed the company of many locals. Roll a d4. Okay. 2. You awaken with a start. Groggy from the night before, you are at the base of the tree and the ladder has been raised. Checking your pockets, you realize you've lost $50. You sigh and nurse your head as you get up. Well, that's a problem. Because if you'll recall, I have $30. This puts me at negative $20. And this is one of the end conditions of the game. So one of the ways you can end the game is you go bankrupt. That is, your budget it goes into the minuses during an expedition or on purchasing transportation. If this happens, you may continue with the expedition. It will not be asked to account for this until after you've sold any remnants you may have found. If you go back after zero, back above zero money after this, you continue with your expeditions. However, if you're at zero or below, you must now pay back everything you owe to the merchants and traders. Your time exploring is now over. Okay. All right. All right, so things are not over yet. Good. But so I'm at -20, but the good news is I'm still allowed to continue with my expedition. So I mean, the obvious thing here is that I need to make sure that I get that remnant, keep that remnant, and then I can sell it later on. So I basically I have to sell this next thing. All right, cool. So what I need to do then, in terms of sketching, right, I want to sketch out. I think that this tree would be a cool thing to sketch. I kind of want to do that. And oh, I've just double checked my thing, and apparently I lost contact with my device. That could have happened a while ago, too, couldn't it? Okay, phone is still on. Still says it's working. We'll pause, and we'll see what happened. All right, we're back. Cool. Okay. Right, so, I mean, fortunately, I didn't lose very much in terms of what I was writing. Right, so, uh, because my drawings are so valuable. All right. Right. So I think what I want to draw this tree that was in the village. I think that would be a cool thing to draw. And then I need to figure out how did I get the screaming skull, which then I'm going to take back with me. Right. So this tree, I'm okay. So what I know of it, one, I know that there's going to be some kind of effectively a tree house, right, in it. So I'm going to go ahead and draw out that tree house. I think it'd be kind of cool for it to be kind of more rounded bottom, so something kind of like this. Right, one thing, when I think about tree houses in a jungle, I think of two things, right? So one would be like Swiss Family Robinson, right? So like old movie, right? And also an area that you can walk through in Disney World or Disneyland, that kind of thing. There we go. So something like this. So it looks kind of like I'm drawing a water tower at this point. Um, that's right. All right, and then something like this. We know that there was like some kind of rope ladder or something that was let down. Something like this. This was in the branches. We need a branch here. A large tree. Something like this. Right, so this is what I'm imagining here. And there are probably like roots around. Well, these roots are gonna look kind of like tentacles, which that's okay. Yeah, it's not terrible. Just gonna do a little bit of shading here. I want to make this look kind of more thatched. It's not like it's a giant metal dome or something. No, it's more thatch roof. Fits with what jungle architecture is more like, right? Yeah, that's pretty good. This is what I'm imagining things look more or less like. Okay. Yeah, some of these branches are a little bit weird, but that's okay. Right. So that's where we were. Now there's a village around this. I'm not gonna draw all the details because I don't feel like it. Now I need a monkey skull. Now I honestly am not sure exactly what a monkey skull looks like. Now I imagine rather skull-like. But I also am very aware that even if I did know what it looked like, I would not be able to draw it accurately. But I'll do what I can. Right, so we're going to try to draw something skull-like. Now, what I'm imagining here, right? So we think about a human skull, right? So you have this big like cranial area, but I think that on a monkey would be significantly less, right? Because like when you look at a monkey, they don't have a whole lot of head, right? Like a lot of forehead, right? Right. There's not a lot of like vertically. There's very little head above the eyebrows. So I'm imagining here, right, that we'd have something like if you're looking sideways on. There's the brow, right? And it just head kind of goes back. So it'd have fits for the eyes, the nose here, and then the jaw. I mean, I don't know if it looks like a monkey or not, but it, well, it's something. It's something. Say that much. Okay, and then we know that in the back of it, there's a mouthpiece put in. And if it's going to be like a flute or recorder or whistle-like instrument, we know that there would typically be a slit here, something like this. So this is a screaming skull, right? I just want to make some notes here, right? So I'm just going to note here that I was drawn into a local celebration in this hut or tree house. Enjoyable, but lost $50. So how did I find the screaming skull? Well, I'm going to say that probably what happened is that we went out right into the well, I don't have a guide, and I don't know that makes sense. Maybe I found that maybe it was actually like a trader or something like that, where yeah, let's just say that that's what happened. I'm gonna say acquired screaming skull. Oh, I have an idea here. From a local seeking to be rid of it. Just saying it I hope that it sells well to collectors. There we are. So that is that expedition uh, here in the port of Akkag. And then, so at the end of it, we now have to do the return step and talk about like what I decided to do with the thing. Now, you already know because I mean I made it clear. Uh, I don't want to die. I mean, not die, but I don't want to go bankrupt, right? So obviously, when I go back to um, civilization or whatever, and think about what I'm going to do with this thing, well, I have a choice. I could donate it. Now, if I donate it, I get D20 times $5. And I only get one corruption if I do that. Now, D20 times 5, I need to roll a 5 or higher, which I have a pretty good chance of that happening, right? And it's 16 out of 20, right? So it's not bad, 80% chance of ending up ahead. Of course, then I have the problem the next expedition, I won't actually have money. And then I also have the bigger problem that if I roll a 1 to 4, then I'll have 0 or less money, which means that then I would be done. That's it. Now, on the other hand, right, if I auction this off, then I get a d20 times $20, which means I would only end up bankrupt if I roll exactly a 1. Right? Now, the trade-off being that I gain 3 corruption instead of just 1. Well, I think it's obvious what I have to do here. I mean, I don't really have to. I could chance it more. I'm going to auction the thing off. Right, so we're auctioning off the skull, the screaming skull. Ah! Okay, here we go. And I'm hoping to roll literally anything other than a 1. I rolled a 10. 10 times 20 gives me $200. Okay, so get rid of the minus 20, so I have $180 left. However, I also gained some corruption, gained 3 corruption, so I'm up to 5. With 5 corruption, that would just, I already have that curse, right? That's that tin coin, which can make some of my equipment break. I haven't actually had to use any of my equipment so far, right? But that is our third expedition. Uh, so that's that. We managed to avoid bankruptcy, um, strategically, right? And also thanks to a die roll that gave me something other than a 1. 95% chance, but it's always nice when that actually happens, right? So that's it. So the next time we'll take another expedition to the fourth area inside of Lemuria and find what that holds. Until then, this is Prof E signing off.